Today, we're going to be ranking the Animorphs by how evil they are, okay? This is going to be a bit of fun, and we're doing it on the fly. I haven't, pre-scripted the list. We're going to be doing it together. Mostly me and Pebble. She's going to be shouting at me from the background, I'm sure. There was a poll that I put on the channel, and it's the pre-context for what we're about to go into. So let's see what people thought. So I asked you, the viewers of this channel, which of the 5 original Animorphs was the most evil? I would have done more characters, of course, but YouTube limits its polls to 5 options, so I went with the most obvious. And by far and away, Rachel won that poll. People think Rachel is the most evil Animorph. And quite a way back from that was Cassie. So the 2 femme fatales of the Animorphs world. And then it's Marco, and then Jake and Tobias are joint bottom. So what we're going to do is go through a list, and it's an interesting list because it is the dark personality theory, and it has 9 different aspects, and this was actually a study from the Danish and the Germans, and they would know a thing or two about evil. So they've compiled a list of what constitutes an evil person. Now, it's obviously not foolproof, but we're going to see how many of these things each of the Animorphs team has. And then at the end, I'm going to rank it. And it's not going to be strictly down to how many points they got from this list, but it's going to be like a guideline. Okay, and we're doing the 6 main Animorphs and 2 extra characters. So we're basically doing all the good guys. And the 2 we're adding are Eric and Toby Hammy. Mostly because by the end of the series, those were the 2 main allies. You could say that James was one as well, but he was only in 2 books, and he didn't really get up to much. He just sort of existed and then died. So I can't justify putting him through the evil test. So we got 8 characters, and we're going to rank them from least evil at the bottom to freaking Stalin, Hitler, I don't know, Noel Edmonds at the top. Okay? So, what are our categories for evil? What are we scoring them on? Egoism, Machiavellianism, moral disengagement, narcissism, psychological entitlement, psychopathy, or psychopathy, sadism, self-interest, and spitefulness. Okay, so let's go through the first character, and we'll explain each category and rate him on it. So, are you ready, my dear?
Yeah.
There's a cat trying to sneak in through the door. Lila, bad idea. Lila. Why don't you go through the other way, you silly cat? Come on, in. Don't mess me around. Get in. I will destroy you, feline. Jesus Christ. It's the same with all bloody women, isn't it? As long as they don't give female cats the right to vote.
Have you shown your audience the kitty?
Yes, they've seen Lila.
Have they?
Yes. Lila Loodle. Loodle. You're a good kitty. Go on, Dan. You go up there then. Go on. Right, now where were we? Okay, so let's put Jake through the test, my dear. Are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so evil trait 1. Egoism. The excessive concern with one's own pleasure or advantage at the expense of community well-being. I'd say Jake is a no on that one.
Yeah,
No.
no. He doesn't really have an ego, I don't think.
No, he doesn't.
But he did accept being in charge, though, which gives him a little bit of an ego.
No, he just sort of said, if you all think that's... He was very democratic about it. I wouldn't say that's a sign of ego. We both agree, and I think if we get all nitpicky on everything, we'll be here for hours. You look like you want to say something.
Nope.
Okay.
Good.
Machiavellianism. Manipulativeness, callous effect, and strategic calculating orientation. Does that apply to Jake? He is by the end of the series, he's very manipulative.
He is, you're right.
Especially regards to Cassie, partly with Toby Hammy, definitely with Eric. He proper manipulate. Yeah, so I'd say that's a point for Jake. Machiavellianism. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Moral disengagement, a generalized cognitive orientation to the world that differentiates individuals' thinking in a way that powerfully affects unethical behaviour. So, moral disengagement. To me, that means basically, like the Nazis during World War II. I was just following orders. That's not a German accent. But that's basically it. So, you're just so... I can't find words. I think what it means by moral disengagement is, as the title says, the title's actually more... it clarifies it more than the clarifying sentence. Moral disengagement. You're just happy to disengage with your moral compass. Say, okay, I'm just going to go against my principles. Sort of, yeah, like the Nuremberg trials. I was just following orders. You know, you're so... there's a word that goes there, and I can't think of it. You're so easy to manipulate into doing bad things, basically. So moral disengagement. I don't think that applies to Jake. I don't. I think he always got the moral compass there. Even if sometimes he doesn't obey it, he takes it into consideration at all points. He never just says, morals out the frickin' window, let's... You know. Narcissism. Ego reinforcement is the all-consuming motive. Right, Jake is not a narcissist. I don't even think I need to give a reason for that. He's just not. He's not a narcissist. He wouldn't listen to other people's opinions, and he does that all the time. He leaves things up to democratic vote, so no, he's not a narcissist. He's still only on one point. Psychological entitlement. A stable and pervasive sense that one deserves more and is entitled to more than others. Jake does not have that. I'm pretty certain. Psychopathy. Deficits in affect, i.e. callousness, and self-control, i.e. impulsivity. See, I knew impulsivity was a word. I've been saying all this time, I'm like, is it a word? I don't freaking know, but apparently it is, so... God damn it, I'm right again. When have I ever been wrong? Name one time I've been wrong ever in my life!
Today, or...
Shh. Damn it. Fine. I was wrong once, maybe. Yeah, so... Callousness. No. There are some times where perhaps he verges on callousness, but it's certainly not a consistent thing, if anything. And impulsivity, no. That's more a Rachel thing. So we'll get to her on that later, but that's a no again on psychopathy. Sadism. A person who humiliates others, shows a long-standing pattern of cruel or demeaning behaviour to others, or into... I think we can already say no. No, because start of the books, what's the first thing he supposedly does is stop Tobias getting bullied. If he had that nature, he'd probably join in the bullying. Self-interest. The pursuit of gains in socially valued domains, including material goods, social status, recognition, academic or occupational achievement, and happiness. I'd say yes. There are a lot of times in here where one of his thoughts is always going to be, what are people going to think of me at the end of this war? And I think that does happen a few times. I'm trying to remember which books it was in, but I do remember it a couple of times. Was it 31, 47, and 53? The fact that at the end of the series, the labels that were attached to him affected him so much, it's because he had a level of self-interest in this. He wanted to maintain an image of himself. He also wanted to retain some sort of level of normality, which it's a very low level yes on this one. It's there, but it's not as if he's going around saying, I want everything. I want my reputation to be above everything else. It's just that there are times where he's like, how is this going to affect my reputation come the end of all this? How am I going to return to a normal life? Rather than doing everything, sacrificing everything for the war. So it's a yes, but it's a little yes. It's a little one. And lastly, spitefulness. A preference that would harm another, but that would also entail harm to oneself. This harm could be social, financial, physical, or an inconvenience. Basically, I think that means, you stole my ironing board, therefore I'm gonna burn your house down, even though I live in as well. That's basically it, isn't it? Does Jake have that? No, not really. So Jake scores 2 out of 9. So I'm going to write that down on my little note thing, just so I don't forget. And then we'll move on to Rachel. So Jake gets a whopping 2 out of 9 on the evil scale. I think there are going to be things that change his ranking come the end of the book, at the end of this video. But let's move on to Rachel. So egoism. Excessive concern with one's own pleasure or advantage at the expense of community well-being. I don't think she had that. Look at book 37. I don't want to consider book 37 canon, but assuming it is, there is a real sense of egoism in there. And there were a few times where that she had that ego, mostly with the mean Rachel thing. So mean Rachel was very egotistical, but nice Rachel wasn't. So she's sort of half and half. My biggest yes comes from book 37, and because that book is so trash, I'm going to say no on the egoism. Machiavellianism, manipulativeness, callous effect, and a strategic, calculating orientation. That's a no. No for Rachel. Moral disengagement, a generalised cognitive orientation. Basically, she's able to subvert her morals just because. No. Narcissism. Ego reinforcement is the all-consuming motive. No.
No, I think she puts off an overly confident air, but she's not.
Yeah, I'd say she's not a narcissist. Psychological. I don't think any of the main heroes are going to be narcissistic. I think that's going to be a no for all of them. Psychological entitlement. A stable and pervasive sense that one deserves more and is entitled to more than others. No. So Rachel's actually doing quite well so far. Psychopathy. Deficits in affect, i.e. callousness, and self-control, i.e. impulsivity. Yes. She's not like a full psychopath. But by the end of the series, she is a bit wacky.
She's seen some stuff.
She's seen some stuff, and her whole character trait is impulsiveness. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to say that's a yes for that one. I'd say it's a light yes. She's not a psychopath, but she has the psychopathy thing. This is like when Michael Grant said that Marco was a sociopath. I think what he meant to say is that he had sociopathic tendencies, but no, he doubled down and said, yeah, I think he's a sociopath. But in the same way, Rachel is not a psychopath, but she has some psychopathic tendencies. Sometimes. Maybe I need to revisit Michael Grant's Marco is a sociopath thing. Maybe I was a bit... because I'm sort of falling into that trap again here as well. But yeah, I'm going to count that as 1 point. Especially at the end of the series. Sadism. A person who humiliates others, shows a long-standing pattern of cruel or demeaning behaviour to others, or intentionally inflicts physical, sexual or psychological pain or suffering on others in order to assert power and dominance, or for pleasure and enjoyment. What would you say to that one? I'll say yes. But largely, again, because of book 37. Hello, Lila. But book 37... That's the... No, a cat away. Alright. I'm going to do the James Bond thing there, but having a cat. Hey, Lila. Hey, Lila, Lulu. Go on, then. Right, stop distracting me, wife. Right, so sadism. It'll be about the 5th time I've started this sentence. Distractions, wife. Usually I would say no, but because of book 37 and Rachel bullying this human controller, like doing prints of his ass and sending it to his boss, that was a really sadistic moment. And she was very vengeful in that book. Do I count that as canon? I'm really torn if I do or not. But it is part of the official Animorphs series book line. And as much as I want to say it's not canon, objectively, it sort of is. So, that doesn't make sense. Objectively, it sort of is. You know what I'm saying? So, yes, for sadism. Rachel does have her sadism moments. Book 37. Where is book 37? Frickin' over here. You see this? Frickin'... There. Jesus Christ.
You're throwing at me.
You're lucky that I'm a nice person. I'm not on this evil list. Because otherwise, you'd be sorry. And you'd cry. And I'd never make you a cup of tea again. Sorry, I got all emotional there.
That was good acting. I thought you were serious for a second.
Really?
Yeah. Your face got all red. A vein
That's-
popped out of your forehead?
That's just sunburn. Self-interest. The pursuit of gains in socially valued domains, including material goods, social status, recognition, academic or occupational achievement, and happiness. Yes. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say material goods, like she's always buying freaking clothes. Parents must have hated that shit. Occupational, academic achievement, she's always worrying about doing her freaking dance classes and homework and stuff like that. But she dropped that a bit later on. And happiness. Again, it's another light one. It's a sort of, do I count this or not? And because the last one was so tentative, I'm going to give it a no. So we're still on 2. And last one, spitefulness. A preference that would harm another, but that would also entail harm to oneself. This could be social, financial, physical, or an inconvenience. I would say Rachel is quite spiteful. I would go so far as to say that. So Rachel scores 3 points. She's 1 point more evil than Jake, according to the Danish. Now we move on to Tobias, who I personally think is going to be bottom of this list. Okay, so egoism. No. Machiavellianism. No. Moral disengagement. No. Narcissism, no. Psychological entitlement. Right, what does that mean again? A stable and pervasive sense that one deserves more. No. Psychopathy, no. Sadism, no. Self-interest, the pursuit of gains of social value domain. Social status recognition, no. No. Spitefulness, a preference that would harm another but that would also entail harm to oneself. No. He doesn't fulfill any of those. Not even close. So Tobias is, as I suspected, a big fat 0. Now this is going to be an interesting one. Cassie, voted second most evil. Right, so Cassie, does she have egoism, the excessive concern with one's own pleasure or advantage at the expense of community well-being? Yes, I think.
I think no, because it's not a pleasure thing. She makes herself miserable, I think, with her morals.
But there are a lot of people who take pleasure in making themselves miserable. Look at Twitter.
Okay.
There are most people on Twitter, from my experience of it, are on there to make themselves miserable. Which is why I took myself off the fucker. It was making me miserable, but I was freaking addicted to it. And Cassie's like, Cassie is the typical Twitter freaking, fucking this and that and t'other. Oh, freaking, that makes me upset, but I'm going to keep doing it anyway. Yeah, that's Cassie. She's typical. I like Cassie, to be fair, so I'm just playing. But Cassie would be on Twitter, we all know that. But yeah, I think she's got an ego. Machiavellianism, manipulativeness, callous effect, and a strategic calculating orientation. No, she's not Machiavellian. Moral disengagement. Certainly not. She's the opposite. She's always engaged morally. Narcissism. No. Psychological entitlement. Stable and pervasive sense that one deserves more and is entitled to more than others. No. Psychopathy. No. Sadism. No. Self-interest, the pursuit of gains in socially valued domains, including material goods, social status, recognition, academic, or no. Spitefulness, certainly not. So, I think she scores 1. Any disagreements, my dear wife? No. So Cassie gets 1. Things are actually looking pretty linear at the moment. 0, 1, 2, 3. Now we move on to Marco, the sociopath. And ego, the expressive concern of one's own pleasure. Nope. Machiavellianism, manipulativeness, callous effect, and a strategic calculating orientation. Yes. I'd say not so much the manipulative side of it, but the cold calculating callousness. I think Marco's definitely got a big wad of that. He's a bit Machiavellian. Moral disengagement. No, I wouldn't say so. He can be very cold and callous, but... See, these are all very similar, aren't they? There is a...
Yeah, I feel like given the chance, though, if it was in his own self-interest, and
But that's point 8 self-interest. So they're all sort of intertwined, and it's like in this situation, he's definitely got a Machiavellian streak to him, but moral disengagement, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that he just gone on morals. What's some morals? What is an morals? No, he's not like that. Narcissism, ego reinforcement is the all-consuming motive. No. Psychological entitlement, stable and face of sense. No. How many have we got so far? So 1. Psychopathy, no. Sadism. A person who humiliates others, shows a long-standing pattern of cruel or demeaning behaviour to others, or intentionally inflicts physical, sexual, or psychological pain or suffering on others. Marco. David. When David first came to the group, your mama dead, bitch! Your daggone, you're a kill! You gotta feel bad about that. Yeah, he was a bit of a sadist twat, wasn't he? And he's got that streak in him, so I'm going to give him a yes on sadism. Self-interest, the pursuit of gains in socially valued domains, including material goods, social status, recognition. What did he do after the war? Got himself a model girlfriend, got himself a mansion, a game show. Yeah. But did he really want that? Or was that covering for some form of PTSD?
I'd say it was probably the PTSD.
I'd say the PTSD thing, so I'm going to say... Happiness. What was it that convinced Marco to join the fight?
His father.
His mother.
Was it?
Because for the first 4 books, he was just sort of dragged along.
That's true.
And then in book 5, he's about to quit and all that. And then his mum turns up, he's like, yeah, I've got to save her. So actually, I would say yes. Combine that with all the stuff happened at the end of the series where he's like, oh, mansion, money,
yeah, he didn't
all the
want to
bitches.
do it at all. But he didn't want to be an Animorph because if he died, it would hurt his dad too much.
That's a fair point.
So it wasn't selfish to not want to be an Animorph.
So cancel that point? I'd say, yeah, so, well done. That's nice. I like good thinking. Nice! Females can sometimes say things correctly. I am shocked. Shocked and appalled.
Sometimes men open their mouth when they shouldn't, and I'm shocked and appalled.
She's got a point. Spitefulness. I wouldn't say he's very spiteful. No. So, I think that comes to 2 points for Marcus.
Who's the highest right now?
Rachel is the highest right now on 3 points. So the fans have been correct so far, but there are 3 more characters to go through. Aximili Escaruth is still. Egoism, the excessive concern with one's own pleasure or advantage at the expense of community well-being. No. Machiavellianism. No. Moral disengagement. Yes. And why do I say yes for that one?
Because he does whatever his prince says.
He does whatever when he tortured Chapman. That sort of stuff. But also, sometimes he'll turn around and say, oh, actually, knock my prince out, threaten to bomb a city.
Whatever suits him at the time.
Whatever suits him at the time. So yeah, moral disengagement, our first character who has that one. Narcissism, no. Psychological entitlement. Pervasive sense of, no, not that one. Psychopathy, callousness? No, not quite. Sadism. No. Self-interests, yes. Why do you think he's always flittering between allegiances? It's whatever's best for him at the time, isn't it? Typically. He goes through this whole thing at the end of each book. Oh, I've learnt that the humans, yeah, they're all right. Actually, you know, I dig what they're doing. And then the next book, he'll be like, oh, I'm going to question this allegiance again.
Is it a selfish thing, or is it because he was brought up to not question his prince, and now he's kind of torn?
Yeah, he's torn.
It's not in his own self-interest, I don't
But
think.
it shows a lack of loyalty. Because once he's pledged, and then he's like, actually, no, fuck that. And then he swaps again, and then again and again. That just shows it's no longer confusion at that point. It's a lack of loyalty.
It's
And
conditioned, though, yeah.
I think it is in self-interest of sorts. He also hates disabled people. Where's that on this list?
Yeah, that was conditioned, but yeah, I guess so.
That's not psychopathy, is it? It's not. Sadism? Person
Did
who
it say
he
he
doesn't
hates
him.
disabled people?
Sorry.
Where did it say he hates them?
The whole idea of VCOLs in book
That's
40.
his culture. That doesn't mean you can't measure all of them by the culture.
I suppose actually that's a fair point. Yeah, it's a
We don't
cultural
know.
thing.
Yeah.
So that's not an individual thing. Okay. Well, you could say it is, but if it is the cultural thing, that this is where it gets murky. You see, saying oh person X is evil, it can get a bit
How
murky.
did he treat Myrtle?
Myrtle. I don't remember. I don't think they talk very much. Myrtle just appears and then fucks off again. Spitefulness, no. So what have we got here? Self-interest, I'd say yes. Moral disengagement is a yes. So that's another 2. That's 2. But I think they're quite big ones. They're quite big ones, so he might be quite high on this list. And now we move on to the 2 big Annie allies, just to fill this list out a bit. So Eric King, egoism. I would like to say yes to all of these, honestly, but I'm not going to for the sake of fairness. Nope for egoism. He's pretty much part of a hive mind anyway, so near enough, so can't be. Machiavellianism, manipulativeness, callous effect, and a strategic calculating orientation. Yes. They are a bit schemy, aren't they? They are a bit schemy, and we've discussed that. Moral disengagement. He sort of does it at the end of the books where he powers down the weapons when he wasn't supposed to, just because, oh, I fucking felt like it, basically. So...
No, he didn't want people to get hurt.
But he knew that's not what was supposed to happen. So he disobeyed the moral... Yeah, it's gotten a bit murky, hasn't it?
It's hard because morals... It's general morals, not which side you're on, I guess.
Narcissism, no. Psychological entitlement, no. Psychopathy, no. Sadism, no. Self-interest, yes. He got the crystal, didn't he? And he was like, actually, no, I don't want to do this. Fuck you. I could win this war for you, but I'd rather not, put myself in a naughty situation like that. Which in itself is not is that inherently a bad thing? It's on the Danish list, but the Danish and the Germans, so they're a bit funny on evil. But self-interests can be things like, I want to bring my parents some flowers because then they'll invite me in for a cup of tea. Because I'm a bit of a believer that there's no pure altruism. Even like, I'm going to give money to this charity for orphans in
It
Africa.
makes you feel like a good person. I told you, there's no...
Yeah, it makes you feel like a good person, but
Because-
it's also naturally ingrained into us that we care for people in our group or tribe. And the brain doesn't recognise that the person on the TV subconsciously doesn't recognise that it's a different tribe. So I don't really believe in pure altruism.
I don't know, I believe in doing the right thing because it's the right thing.
Oh yeah, I don't say therefore we don't do the right thing. Of course we do the right thing. You know me. I made you food once. That was nice of me, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I wanted you to make dinner last night. What happened?
I took you out for a nice dinner.
Because you didn't want to cook.
Because I didn't want to cook.
I love you.
I love you too. Spitefulness, that is definitely Eric. What happened at the end? He was very spiteful. So he's got that one. Self-interest, yes, so 2. And I sort of want to throw in moral disengagement. But I can't. As much as I want to, I can't. So Eric's got 2. And lastly, the other of Jake's biggest allies in the war, Toby Hammy. Again, I think it's going to score low. Egoism, no. Machiavellianism. I don't think she manipulates much. What was she doing in book 47 again? I don't think she was very straightforward with her people. Did she manipulate Jake? I don't think she did. No, not for no Machiavellianism. She was a bit cold and calculated sometimes. What were you going to say?
What would we rate them sending all the disabled kids to their death?
We'll get into stuff like that. There's not an option for sending hordes of disabled people to their demise. That's not on the list.
That's manipulation, isn't it, in a way?
We've already said that Jake's got that streak about him. Moral disengagement, no. Narcissism, no. Psychological entitlement. Stable and pervasive sense that one deserves more and is entitled to more than... no. Psychopathy, no. Sadism, no. Self-interest, definitely not. Spitefulness would harm another, but that would also entail harm to oneself. This harm could be social, financial, physical, or an inconvenience. She did put all her people in danger just as a sort of... But that's more out of principle. I'm going to say no. So Toby's a 0 as well. So what's our list looking like? So at the bottom of the list, both scoring 0, Toby and Tobias, the 2 namesakes. Am I going to keep them at the bottom of my list? Yeah, I think they're both down at the bottom. I'd say Tobias is the least evil overall. Toby can be a bit calculating, and you don't know if she had a bit of not so much an ego, but that spitefulness thing, just maybe. So she's in 7th place. Who was on 1? So Cassie had 1. Now she was voted 2nd most evil on the poll. What did Cassie do? She did put the team in danger a lot, and hence the whole world in danger for basically tree hugging. I mean, that's simplifying it a bit, and it's nothing against Cassie as a character, because I fucking love Cassie as a character, but she did struggle with prioritization, and sometimes she went all out, despite knowing that she struggled without prioritization, to satisfy her own needs. So, am I going to put her in 6th? Let's have a look at the others. Jake, Marco, and Eric are on 2. I think I'm going to put aside my theories on the chief for now and just play it straight as it is in the books. Eric is next. Because he's just sort of... He follows his programming. He doesn't do anything directly evil unless your headcanon suggests that he's a manipulative bastard, which he is to a degree, but not to the degree of being an evil sod. So I'm going to put him there for now. Between Marco and Jake. Right, so Marco was very cold calculating, but he never completely ditched moral standards. He took it into consideration, but he prioritised the plan more often than not. Okay? You knew sort of where you stood with Marco. And that's why he goes into 5th. We've also... So who have we got left? Axe, Jake, Rachel and Cassie. Axe, Jake, Rachel and Cassie. Who am I going to put in 4th most evil? Well, the list would suggest Cassie.
I think Jake made a lot of very unmoral
Yeah,
decisions.
Jake sent the disabled kids to their death.
He flashed all
Jake
the years.
flushed all the Yerks. Jake tortured Chapman. Almost killed his brother. He did some shit stuff. But out of all that shit, he won. Freedom for everyone. If he hadn't have done that, then he tried to do it, but you'd look at him with less sympathy. He did a lot of evil shit. Some of it he didn't necessarily have to do. A lot of it he didn't have to do. But it was spur of the moment stuff. It's not like he went in... It wasn't done with malice. It wasn't... What's that called, like, in court? So you've got manslaughter, you've got homicide, you've got first degree, second degree, third degree. Haven't you? So one of them is where it's just spur of the moment. Oh, I'll kill that person. Oh shit, a person, kill them. Second degree is like, oh, there's a person, I might kill them. Stab. And the other type of homicide is, oh, in a week's time, fucking Chuck is going to walk out the pub. What I might do is I'll hang an anvil from above the door. And at just the right moment, slam! It lands on his dog. And a dead dog. There's a dead dog. There's a dead dog. That's first degree homicide, I think. I think that's the right way around.
First is premeditated.
First is premeditated. Yes,
sure.
okay, so the anvil is first degree homicide, whereas third degree is, oh shit, person stab. Yeah, it's like an impulsive thing. Whereas manslaughter is more like, oh shit, a brick. Oh no, it landed on a person. Or, oh, I've got this firebomb. I'm going to throw it in that direction. Oh shit, it landed on that man's face. And now he dead. And now his dog is dead. His dog dead. That's how Americans speak, isn't it?
No.
Oh yeah, sorry, you're from Canada.
Fuck off.
So Jake basically, in a way, commits... What's it? He commits third degree genocide. Is that a thing? If you consider those definitions, then it's basically third degree genocide. Oh shit, Yerks, flush them. That's basically it, isn't it? Or was it second degree? Because he sort of thought, oh, there are a bunch of Yerks there. What should I do? Flush them. Bye-bye, down the toilet. So Jake is an evil shit, isn't he, really? Are you really doing good if, in order to do good, you do evil? That's one of the great questions.
Unintentionally causing someone's death while committing a dangerous act.
Oh, so that's my definition of manslaughter, isn't it? So I've got it wrong.
Yeah.
Shit. Okay. Video scrapped. Pfft, get out of here.
Second is you didn't mean to. I mean, you didn't plan it, but you did it.
Right, so Jake would have been second degree homiciding all those Yerks. Okay. Blimey. Right, but that could apply to a lot of stuff. Remember that it was a war, and things change in war, don't they? So as much as we're talking about homicide and all that sort of stuff, they are in a war, in which case things do become a bit messier. I mean, you can't get away with everything, obviously, but it does become a bit murkier. So Jake let off a bit there. If he had just casually went and blew up 17,000 people, then yeah, we'd be saying he's pretty shit, really, isn't he? But that's not quite the case. I think I'm going to put Rachel in fourth. Because as much as he has the most points from that, she doesn't go into anything really with malicious intent. It's more just the way she is. She's not doing the big bad things. She's just a bit psychotic at times. So, yeah, I'm going to put Rachel in fourth. So it's between Jake, Cassie and Axe. Why is Axe still there? Because he knocks out, he's always like, I'm duty to the prince, duty to the king, now I stab the king in the back.
I think Cassie's third.
You think Cassie's third?
I'd vote third.
Yeah, actually,
I don't
I'll go
think
with that.
she does anything to hurt people, she does the opposite.
Okay, I'll agree with that. I'm going to put Cassie third. So it's between Jake and Axe for most evil.
Axe is second, definitely.
You've got the difference here now between the guy who commits atrocities and the guy that goes along with those atrocities and then stabs him in the back.
I'm thinking a lot on the lines of like his brother and how, you know, Andalites don't kill prisoners and all that. I don't think he would have flushed them. I don't think Axe would have flushed them.
No, I'm pretty sure when it came down to that part in book, let's bring it up, because I'm pretty sure that Axe was with Jake at the time. So bear with me. Right, so this is at the scene, right? Pebble. This is at the scene. So Axe and Jake are together. Axe pushed past me, began punching at active screens and arrays of controls. There is a flush sequence, he said. I have to override the safety protocols. He turned his stalk eyes to me, even as his main eyes guided swift, nimble fingers. It can be done. Okay, I said. The pool is full to capacity. These are the Yerks that were rescued from the Earth-based Yerk pool, plus the bulk of the unhosted Yerks recently transported here. Some reason you're telling me this, Axeman. Jake, there are 17,372 Yerks in this pool. And then, Jake thinking about it, flush them, I said. So, I think this is the moment that decides which one's more evil, because Axe is basically the one who is just like, yeah, do it, let's do it. But he waits for Jake's order, and Jake considers it as the leader to make that call and says, do it. Who is more evil? Axe has got that callousness about him where it's just like, yeah, let's do it. Jake hesitates. He sees the moral problem with it, whereas Axe doesn't. So it's, which one's more evil here? If Axe was in charge, would he have done it? If Axe was in Jake's position, that book suggests not a hesitation. He would have just been like, yep, done.
I don't know.
I'm going to say that the most evil character is Axe. I'm going to put...
Jake.
You'd say Jake.
Because
I'd say
he sent
Axe.
those disabled kids as well to their death.
Yeah, but Axe would have done the same.
Not if they were his own people, I don't think.
Disabled Andalites, Axe wouldn't send them to their deaths. He would. If you read book 40, my dear, again, you would agree with me. Because that was the whole disabled Andalite thing. And Axe was just like, he has no tail, he's not worth fuck all. Basically what he said. So, as much as Jake made the decisions, he still had that moral compass in his head going, how does this benefit us? How is this the good thing to do? Even if he knew that at the moment it was the wrong thing to do. Whereas Axe is just like, yeah, do it. I'd suggest doing it, and as soon as you give me that order, I'm just going to press that button, la-di-da, it's all good for me. Axe is the most evil Animorph, in my opinion.
I'll say Jake.
You say Jake. What are your thoughts? Okay, so I've listed the 8 there. So at the bottom, Tobias, Toby, Eric, although I'd love to move him fucking right up to the top. Marco, Rachel, Cassie, Jake and Axe.
Or Axe and Jake.
They're close together near the top there. And this is not saying that any of these characters are bad. I mean, personally, headcanon, Eric's a little tit. And he's just as bad as Visser Toi. But, yeah, this doesn't mean that these characters are evil. It just says, I'm listening. Stop getting so fucking literal, will ya? Bastards. Anyway, that's enough of me rambling on like a complete spoon-headed, gravity-stealing monkey fist. That's what I am, isn't it?
What?
She's not paying attention anymore. And I don't blame her. And I don't blame you either. So, thank you very much for watching. You give your list in the comments below. Sorry, our two cats were fighting outside. Anyway, I'm going to go deal with that. So, thank you very much for watching. I shall see you next time. Ta-ra!